Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our meeting, a regular meeting. It's really great to get together. Another Zoom meeting. Just want to thank everybody for being here, and there is hope. I have to tell you right now, the game plan looks like this could be our last Zoom meeting. If everything goes well, the board's planning that it'll be an in-face live meeting with at a facility and with a tour. So I think we're getting pretty well set for that, but just want to thank everybody for being here, and CMA is continuing to hang in there and do well. So, and then what we'll do is we'll do the introductions. If you've been to some of these Zoom meetings of ours before, it's a little cumbersome, but it works as best we can. I'll go through and give a name. I have just a list of who signed up. So we'll have a number of names of people that aren't here. And if we don't hear a response, I'll just move on. But if I call your name, please jump in, tell us who you are, who you're affiliated with, a little bit about what you do. So we'll get ready and do that. And on my list is Donald Burgee there. I don't see him in the pictures. Okay. Rebecca Klobes. And Jesse Jenigs. Lance Barthel. I know he's there. I saw him log in.
Yes, good morning. Lance Bartle with Batteries Plus Bulbs, and I'm also a CMMA board member.
Okay. Steve Lean, unless he's hiding, I haven't seen him log on yet. And then we'll go back and try and catch the late shows as well. And Mark Hegstrom.
Hey, everybody. Mark Hegstrom from Business Owner Succession Strategies. I'm also on the marketing committee.
All right. Boy, he logged on at the right moment.
I guess so.
Jackie Larson. And Dean Kiffmeyer. Tim Zapoy's here. I saw him.
Good morning, all. Tim Zipoy. I'm a business services coordinator with Central Minnesota Jobs and Training Services, and I'm also a CMMA board member.
And Troy Gerking. All right. Luke Reardon. I saw him there. He's here.
Good morning, Luke Reardon with Data Marketing.
All right. And Della Ludwig. I haven't seen her show up yet. Okay. Matt Hagenes.
I'm Matt Hagernes, East Central Energy, just trying to get some more info to see how I can better serve my manufacturing members.
Great. Glad to have you here. Amber Eustace. Rob Stark.
Rob Stark with Edward Jones in marvelous Midtown Buffalo.
All right. Richard Owen. Okay. Dan Ortloff.
Dan Ortloff with Falls Fabricating in Little Falls, Minnesota.
Okay, and we'll back up one I see just signed on. Steve Lean.
Morning, Steve Lean, Bergen KDV, board member.
And Sue Kramer. Jeff Borling. Rodney DeFoe. Douglas Cook. He's here.
Hey, I'm here. Doug Cook, Headwater Strategic Succession Consulting. I'm also on the marketing committee.
Great. So Dave Miller, I saw him on board.
Good morning. I'm David Miller, Commercial Loan Officer with Kensington Bank in downtown St. Cloud and chair of your membership committee.
And as you hear these folks tell you about these committees, I just got to interrupt, encourage anybody, if you'd like to get involved. What we've started is these committees of people that don't have to be part of the board and show up to board meetings, but they work on these special efforts like the membership or the marketing. So if you have any interest, why, let us know. We'll get you in touch with those separate committees. And Gordy Murphy. Joe Wolf. I think you've already met Amy Johnson. She's here. And Sandy Cashmark, she's with us today.
Hi, Sandy Cashmark. I'm the Executive Director for CMMA.
All right. And Kevin Zickert.
Kevin Zickert here with Energy Smart Minnesota Wastewise Foundation. I'll be talking at you a lot today later on with the presentation.
You'll hear more from Kevin. And Keith Swingle, I saw him on board.
Keith Swingle from NetV Pro, your IT easy button.
You bet. And Dwayne Bringleson. I recall seeing him, but all right. Bruce Hegberg. Kurt Helgensen, I haven't seen him on either. Jake Wissick.
WeCheck. It's Jake WeCheck here. I'm actually a representative here at Stearns Bank. I work in equipment financing and the business development side of it. So Lori Rodenwald was here before, but she has shifted over a different position. So I'm taking over manufacturing, machining tool, that type of fun stuff.
Oh, okay, because she's next to my list. Is Lori
Yeah,
Rodenwald.
she won't be joining us here today.
You're the person.
I'm the guy.
And Mike Wheelock. Luke Cronobus. Jessica Wells.
This is Jessica Wells from Two Rivers Enterprises.
All right. Zach Jacobs. Can you make it? All right. Bill Pattison. And Anna Baston. Kim Aileen. It's Kimmeline White. I'm sorry. We haven't got her. And then I see ones that I know I've already missed is Angie Brick.
Good morning, Angie Brick with Rotochopper, and I'm also on the board.
Okay, so is there anybody that's with us that I've missed? Now is the moment to speak up, just jump in.
Jackie Bistadu, CPA with LB Carlson, do business consulting and tax compliance, and also on the marketing committee.
All right. Oh, and I see Dean Kiffmeyer just joined in.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Dean Kiffmeyer with CMMA board member and Central McGowan.
All right, so we got everybody.
And I am Rebecca Clovis with Anderson Center. Hello, Management and Leadership Development. Good morning, everyone.
All right, good, great. Glad everybody helps out with this. Just think in September we do this, we just pass the microphone around and everybody just does their thing without all these complications. So in any case, a few other business items, some announcements I want to notice is that we have milestone anniversaries that are going on right now. A 5-year anniversary for Bremer Bank and a 10-year anniversary for Darter Plastic, who's in Becker. And the other one is I want to welcome the new members. We have 4 new members. That's really a big event. And we have Advanced Tech, Columbia Gear, eCreative Works, and it's Gale Noakes Supervisor Source. So I want to thank them for joining and being part of what's going on with CMMA. That's great. And now some updates of things we're doing. The big item coming up, which you saw in the roll through of slides and it's up there now, is the Golf Social. Encourage everybody to come, be involved. We have a great day. And the whole purpose of this, all the profits from the Golf Social go into our foundation that is used exclusively for youth events, things like Vex Robotics, First Robotics, all these types of things, even to help some schools, their CTE program to maybe buy some shop tools or something like that. So if you come to support that, we really appreciate it. And I also want to thank all the sponsors that we have this year. We had a big group of sponsors that have done just an amazing job. A couple other quick notes. Keep reminding everybody that if you're looking for the idea of hiring youth apprentices in your business, and I don't know if everybody's aware of this, but you can have youth that's 16 years old and up that can work in a manufacturing environment. And if you need help doing that, you can look and see on the CMA site, right, that Amy's just pulled up the youth apprenticeship toolkit, and that'll give you, it's both for the schools and for the businesses. So it'll give you all the requirements, what needs to be done. And at the end of even when all that fails, it'll give you people to call and get help. And the other big item we got is the K-12 Navigator. And this is another project of CMMA's. And I really encourage the businesses to be listed on this database and to be able to have the students can then go in and find you and see what you'll do to help them. And then and it gives the students and teachers, parents, direct connections into the businesses to get connections between the two. And that's a really big item of what we've been finding out, is to get the businesses connected with the schools, schools connected with the businesses. So want to thank that one. All those, just sign up if you haven't. And I think we already talked about the pandemic. I think we're going to outwit the Zoom meetings. And I just want to thank everybody for investing in this. I mean, if you look at our history during this past year, which our first concern was that this whole thing would sort of just sink into the ground and disappear for a while. And actually it's not done that. The CMA has been active, and we've actually grown our membership during that time, which I think is really impressive. So then we're going to switch back here to Amy. She's got the breakout. And I guess what the question, have you completed an energy assessment or audit at your company? Uh-oh, I'm probably in trouble. Okay, Amy, take it away.
Okay. So we will be putting you in rooms with 4 to 5 people, and the questions today were designed by Kevin Zickert, our keynote speaker. So they are around the topic of energy efficiency. The first question, which I will broadcast once you get into your room, is, have you completed an energy assessment or audit at your company? And if so, please share your experience. These are 5 minutes, so we will see you soon.
Uh-oh, everybody got that message. So welcome back, gang. Good to see everybody. Hopefully everybody solved their energy problems, but if not, the good news is Kevin's going to explain how we can do that. All right. And before I forget, I had a slight oversight in my listings of notes. We talked about the September meeting that's being scheduled to be live in face-to-face. And we have an August social coming up. I want to invite everybody to come to that. It's going to be at Process Logic. They're the sponsor. Kurt there has put together a pretty amazing get together of eats and refreshments and everything. And so I really encourage you to show up, and then that'll be another live face-to-face type gathering, something different. So in any case, though, to get going about this energy, we're here to talk on energy efficiency for manufacturers. I have a feeling it could be for anybody that uses a lot of energy. And it's going to be presented by Kevin Zickert. He's from Energy Smart. And it looks like they're getting a screen set to go. And I'll let Kevin explain a little bit more to you about Energy Smart. That's sort of a little more interesting how it's put together, what it is. And with that, why, Kevin, it's yours. Oops.
The classic technical difficulties, just trying to unmute myself here. 14 months into this gig and I'm still getting used to it.
Huh. Yeah, hopefully it's about to end.
Thank you for the introduction, Les. Very happy to be here. Thanks for sharing your morning and time with us. Just a quick synopsis of what to expect here on the presentation. We'll do an overview of the program of Energy Smart, our services that are provided at no cost. We'll run through some technical cost savings analysis on a few pieces of technology, and then review 2 case studies for those that are manufacturers and how they actually save and upgraded on technologies. I'm just making sure this isn't on a timer. It should just be manually automated. Energy Smart is a St. Paul-based energy efficiency program that is a service of the Minnesota Wastewise Foundation, and I can elaborate on that a little bit more towards the end of the presentation. All of our services are provided at no cost to those with commercial accounts through CenterPoint Energy and XL Energy. And we are also a direct service of the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce. So that is our service territory. We're provided at no cost within the Centerpoint XL areas for those that are members of the chamber. Essentially, we help identify and prioritize projects, offering cost savings to businesses, and then navigate the utility rebate programs on their behalf. So these are our services. I'll elaborate on those in a little bit more detail. As Les has mentioned, public health is getting healthier, which is great. But just to be respectful of our communities, we have some procedures here for COVID, and we also provide virtual assessments as well. So we can meet via Zoom or Microsoft Teams, do a phone conference, so on and so forth, to evaluate if that is preferred as well. All right, here we are. So the old adage goes in the energy world that you can't control what you don't measure. Fortunately, the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency at the federal government level, has a tool and resource through Energy Star's Portfolio Manager, and that will compare your facility to similar facilities in your industry and compare a nominal value in comparison. So that value is the Energy Use Index, the EUI, and that is effectively comparing energy use divided by square footage. So for electric, it will be your kilowatt hours, and for natural gas, it is decatherms. Given that manufacturing has such different processes and energy intensity per square foot, I wouldn't necessarily rely on this as a hard, fast rule of comparison between facilities, but instead use it as a baseline and point of reference while improving operations moving forward. There's also a tool that Portfolio Manager has for monitoring and tracking water consumption in similar ways for conservation. So essentially, you're just enrolling your account numbers through Portfolio Manager, and then that data gets updated monthly from your utility provider and tracks your analysis. Energy conservation opportunities can often provide substantial return on investments. Common expectations is to only invest in projects that have a simple payback of 2 years or less. It doesn't necessarily make sense when the private market is as low as 3 or 4% on return, or even internal profit margins for companies are less than some projects, whether it's lighting or like a building automation system, can certainly garner savings upwards of like 10 or 15% per project. And then you're realizing those cost savings over the lifetime of that equipment, not just that first time or that first year. Just to touch on maintenance, material, and labor savings, beyond the tangible savings of a project, making behavioral and no-cost adjustments for optimizing set points, reducing runtime on HVAC and process equipment, ultimately reduces wear and tear on components such as lamps and ballasts on lighting fixtures, filters for air handling units, lubricants on bearings, and tension on drive belts. So this directly translates into savings for facility staff on their time and labor. Basically upgrading to something of higher efficiency, higher performance, higher quality, saves on all those downstream aspects and cost savings as well. So next couple slides focus on our services. Again, these are provided at no cost. First of which we like to complete is the utility bill analysis. So with your consent, you complete a customer energy use disclosure form and submit that with the utility directly, and we can collect the last 36 months of bill history for analysis. Looking at seasonal trends and energy use for your facility to navigate those preliminary next steps and conversations, making recommendations based off of that. We look at your rate structure to make sure that you're in the correct rate, or evaluate opportunity for maybe switching a particular meter premise for specific use to something that would be more cost effective as well. And then we connect with your account managers as well at the utility level, just to evaluate, hey, is this account done any projects, completed a project recently, or what is their eligibility for things that are only made available on a semi-recurring basis. Programs are sometimes offered only every other year or once every 5 years, depending on that program. But we'll talk about some of those in more detail moving forward. The meat and potatoes of the program is completing site assessments. So we walk through your facility to understand space use, hours of operation and square footage, as well as having a conversation to make sure that your goals are understood so that we're not just talking about things that don't matter to you. And if you're just eager to learn more about your facility and what to prioritize, then we help to identify and prioritize those. So this requires access to mechanical rooms and rooftops in order to collect equipment data, plate information. And then we put together a report with recommendations and next steps. So we make you aware of specific equipment and associated rebate incentives when the time is right for you to upgrade that equipment. It will also be a reflection of that utility bill analysis kind of wrapped into that as well. While on site, we like to focus on low cost and no cost conservation opportunities. Now more than ever, it's been a tumultuous year, so people are in different places as far as potentially spending freezes and kind of in a holding pattern for making capital investments. So we like to spend time and identify those behavioral things that don't cost money. Some of which is equipment maintenance, talking about replacing HVAC filters on a maybe quarterly or seasonal basis. Do you have a maintenance log for your equipment? When are things getting the attention that they deserve and need? Is that being logged and tracked and verified? Looking at, is beyond the maintenance logs, are folks looking at the tension on drive belts for air handlers or process equipment? And again, lubricating bearings on, mostly motors and those energy intense drivers on your process equipment. And also look at, programming thermostats for occupancy. There's no reason to be heating or cooling your space when it's empty, whether it's the end of the workday or over weekends, making sure that, you're not conditioning a space that doesn't need to be. Review opportunities for installing capacitors to correct power factor imbalance, installation of variable speed drives on underloaded motors to better match the load profile, and early retirement of aging motors. Xcel Energy has a relatively new program called AC Rewards. It's kind of taking over and replacing the old Saver Switch, which exists for both residential and commercial accounts. But the AC Rewards is enrollment for a free installation of an ecobee smart thermostat. So it's Wi-Fi enabled, you can control it remotely. Provides a one-time enrollment incentive of $75 and then subsequent seasonal participation incentive of $25 per year. If your facility already has a building automation system or energy management system, which is kind of a centralized brain, so to speak, to control set points for HVAC and lighting, you can't get enrolled in that program, unfortunately, because you're essentially already doing it. But then just to go, kind of drive this home as far as those no cost opportunities, talking about implementing automation controls, smart power strips or power settings on electronics, avoid short cycling, avoidance of simultaneous firing stages. So if you have multiple air compressors or multiple process boilers, can you get away with just staging one at a higher capacity rather than running both at a very low load profile? Increasing the deadband set points on your HVAC controls, ultimately to avoid simultaneous heating and cooling so that it's not throttling back and forth to create like a really optimal comfort temperature, but instead, making things more efficient. So once we have the recommendation report in your hands, ideally you'll be inspired to complete some work and move forward in collecting equipment bids from a preferred contractor. That's where we really step to the plate and assist with implementation. So if equipment doesn't meet rebate specifications, staff at Energy Smart works collaboratively with you, contractors, equipment distributors, and utility representatives to estimate new project cost when upgrading to high efficiency equipment. So going above and beyond just the cheapest or quickest accessible equipment, ideally upgrading to high efficiency to leverage the utility rebates, and in some cases grant funding to offset that incremental cost. One of the biggest hurdles that we come across in the small to mid-size business sector is folks don't have preferred contractors or know kind of who to go to first and foremost. So Energy Smart is a vendor neutral program. We do not endorse the quality of work, prices, or performance of contractors or manufacturers' products. But instead, we recommend collecting 2 to 3 estimates from contractors to just kind of do a price comparison of labor and availability as well. We recommend purchasing equipment that is verified by third parties, providing non-biased quality assurance for product performance. So iconically, here we have Energy Star, which again is from the EPA. There's ASHRAE, the American Society of Heating, Refrigeration, and Air Conditioning Engineers. They provide a really great baseline for building performance and have a number of codes to meet. There's the Design Lights Consortium, DLC. That's a third-party nonprofit that does quality assurance tests for viability and holding manufacturers accountable for lighting products. And then there's the AHRI, the Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration Institute, which again is providing that verification to make sure that manufacturers are in fact performing as what they claim on their specification sheets. So we give a third, Energy Smart is not in the business of endorsing any work or here to make a sale, but instead just give that non-biased opinion of, hey, this is a model that in fact meets what it's claiming and will in fact qualify for that rebate. Finally, the installation of your project will be complete, at which point we collect a final itemized invoice. And we look to streamline that rebate process on your behalf. So we take care of that paperwork and get it submitted with your account managers. This is typically a 4 to 8 week process once the application is submitted. And we'll go into some detail about what is in fact rebate eligible. There's basically two buckets. So both CenterPoint and Excel have prescriptive rebates. Those are essentially a 1-for-1 swap out of technology. If you have 20 lamps that you're hoping to upgrade from T8 fluorescent to LED, there is a prescribed value of energy savings and an accompanying incentive for that as well. So those prescriptive rebates are kind of predetermined and pre-calculated. They exist for lighting and controls on lighting systems, cooling, refrigeration, heating systems, and associated tune-ups, and then some audit level programs as well, which we'll review in more detail moving forward. For anything that doesn't fall within these prescriptive programs, they do offer custom solutions. So that will be for a lot of process equipment or unique manufacturing equipment as well. So this requires pre-approval. It's a 2 to 4 week process. Both utilities have engineers on staff that take a baseline of what the existing equipment is, and then compare that for energy savings and create a custom rebate solution that they then incentivize for that equipment. Energy Smart also has our own internal business energy efficiency grant program, which provides project funding of 20% of the rebated project cost up to $3,000 or $4,000 if you're a member of the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce. So you get your installation of your project, we reduce the rebate incentive off the top, and then we'll cover 20% of that project cost up to $3,000. So this grant funding is meant to assist projects that wouldn't otherwise be completed. Just trying to make that ROI a little bit quicker and justifiable for the business. As mentioned, Energy Smart is a great first step for identifying those opportunities and next steps. In some cases, we make referrals for enrollment in other utility programs or suggest that you pursue completing work with vendors that are actually doing energy audits on energy intensive equipment. So we'll go over a few of these examples. For compressed air studies, accounts are eligible once every 5 years for study funding provided by Xcel Energy, is only available for systems larger than 10 horsepower. Upon being pre-approved for the study funding, your preferred vendor will use an ultrasonic leak detector to source those air leaks. They'll flag them, they will seal them. Upon sealing at least 75% of those identified air leaks, the study is then fully funded and rebated. So that program provides instant return on investment. Just grabbing some water here for a moment. Beyond sealing those air leaks, the study provider will typically identify additional components to retrofit and upgrade to optimize efficiency. Those might include cycling dryers, zero loss air drains, or variable speed drives to be retrofitted onto the system. Each of these components typically have subsequent rebates associated with making an upgrade identified. For steam trap audits, your vendor uses an ultrasonic leak detector and an infrared camera to identify failed steam traps. Typically, these failed steam traps failed closed, so one side will be incredibly hot and the other side is cold, so you're not actually getting any of your steam across the system. So those tools are used to identify. Study funding is only available if the failed traps are discovered, though upon repairing and replacing all failed steam traps, the study is rebated at $15 per steam trap that is tested. Again, subsequently, once they are repaired or replaced, beyond just the study funding itself, each of the repaired steam traps is also rebated at about 30% of the cost of the unit. We'll go into further utility audit programs, kind of more at the whole building level. Recommissioning is a program offered by both utilities. Buildings are typically commissioned once when they're designed and built, and then recommissioning occurs once every 5 to 10 years as a means of recalibrating and rebalancing systems for their intended use and design. So it's just getting things up to optimal performance and the fine tuning essentially. Energy design assistance and energy efficient buildings. That's applicable for new construction, just depending on square footage. CenterPoint has a natural gas energy analysis. If you're a joint customer of both CenterPoint and Excel, you can receive a $100 discount when enrolling, and then you complete both the NGEA and the commercial streamline assessment simultaneously. Typically, that enrollment fee is about $600. So if you're a joint account, or you have both providers, you're looking at about $500. But that provides, assuming you implement one project, you'll get that money back very easily. The commercial streamline assessment is an ASHRAE level 1 audit with accompanying cost savings analysis report and implementation assistance for the following 5 years. The CSA provides a 30 to 40% bonus rebate for all work completed within 12 months of the assessment. So again, there's that one-time fee up front, but assuming you're thinking about doing one or multiple projects, those bonus rebates will more than cover that enrollment fee. So that's a really good solution when evaluating multiple capital investments at once. Maybe you've thought about lighting and maybe some process equipment, or your HVAC is aging out. It's a really lucrative way to garner some extra cost savings there. Beyond these programs, there's also process efficiency. So this will really put the end use runtime under a microscope. It's a pretty in-depth and detailed data analytics program. And there is a caveat that there has to be minimum savings produced. So 1/3 of a gigawatt hour, or comparatively 300 megawatt hours, or up to 2,000 decatherms of natural gas as a conservation potential. So this is really suitable for those large industrial complexes. And they're also going to be evaluating demand side management programs. So when peak is really high in the summertime, looking to take your facility offline and in fact use backup power, whether it's a backup generator or perhaps renewable energy resources and battery storage. It's a neat program to really do an in-depth analysis of how your process is performing and how you can stage equipment to optimize run times, so on and so forth. So here we will do some cost savings analysis on two pieces of equipment or technology. First, a motor, and then we'll do a variable speed drive as well. There are some assumptions here in the upper left corner in the box. We're assuming that in this case study, the motor is 100 horsepower. It runs for about 8,500 hours annually. Average cost of electric in Excel territory is about 11 cents per kilowatt hour. The demand KW is a seasonal blend there of $12.64. It's typically a little higher in the summertime, a little bit lower in the winter. So we have an average there. We're making an assumption that this motor in your facility will be loaded at 75% capacity. And we'll do some calculations comparing motors at 84% efficiency versus 95. So these calculations are provided by the Association of Energy Engineers. And first we need to calculate the energy use, kWh, kilowatt hours. This first equation is looking at the motor that is 84% efficient. So that is on the denominator, which will have an operating cost of about $62,000 annually. And then we'll have to calculate the demand bill as well. That is something that comes up on your utility bill. That's about another $10,000 for a total annual operating cost of $72,000. Made an assumption here that this unit, 100 horsepower at 84% efficiency, is just over $5,500. I did not do any actual procurement or assessments on that price, but more so just kind of a baseline to make the case. We'll run these numbers again. The equation looks the same, except on the denominator here, now we have the motor at 95% efficiency. So we can see right here, the energy use is, or the build use is considerably less than the previous motor, as is demand, providing annual cost savings of nearly $8,000 when comparing a motor that is baseline efficiency of just 84% compared to something that is NEMA premium rated high efficiency for motors. We'll do another kind of technical analysis here for variable speed drives. This would be something that is retrofitted or applied to operating motors to better match the load profile so that it's not underloaded or overloaded. Your motor is effectively working at the rate that is expected. So we have some assumptions up here in the upper left corner once again. These cost savings are for the runtime of a motor at 40%. So that's the equation there on the left side and then highlighted in the table in blue. But we know that the unit has additional operating time at various loads between 30% and 100% as well. We've itemized energy savings at each of those load profiles on the far right column. And then if we were to create an aggregate of what each of those savings is, we're looking at nearly 210,000 kilowatt hours annually when installing a variable speed drive here, providing cost savings of nearly $23,000. So, maybe you have a really old motor. We don't want to invest the capital in replacing the motor, but we can apply a retrofit for slightly cheaper with a variable speed drive, still garner some impressive savings and performance on your motor. Essentially matches the load better, so you have reduced runtime. It's reducing vibration typically, so there's less ongoing maintenance and lubricants that are also required for maintaining that motor. A few case studies here. We'll start off with Pentair as a manufacturing facility. They wanted to do an upgrade from their T8 and T12 fluorescent lighting across their facility to LED. When I got on site, I thought that was a brilliant idea. But going beyond that, there's a lot of energy intensive equipment, like I think they had 3 or 4 air compressors ranging between about 40 and 60 horsepower. So I figured getting them enrolled in the commercial streamline assessment from Xcel Energy would be a logical next step. These were systems that had largely been neglected for the last year or two, and with such long runtime, those are things that really need to be tuned up at least every other year. So we got them enrolled in the commercial streamline assessment that provides a 40% bonus rebate. They ended up upgrading to LED lighting, had improved brightness and quality of light across their manufacturing floor, improving safety as well. In which case they're able to actually delamp. So they removed the quantity of fixtures and had enhanced lighting from there. They had pre-approval from Xcel Energy to seek and complete a compressed air study, again, providing instant return on investment. So we have some highlights here from that implementation and the project execution. Ultimately, their first year cost savings was $16,000 by upgrading, completing the compressed air study, as well as an upgrade to LED lighting. Those cost savings will be realized for the lifetime of the equipment. Another example here is cord sets. They also had a specific project in mind, and that was their injection molding machine, which is pictured here. I got on site, they had most of their equipment was trending towards 20 years and older. Their HVAC was aging out. So they were kind of poised and ready to make some significant capital investments across multiple systems. Here too, we got them enrolled in the commercial streamline assessment. We sought pre-approval for a compressed air study. They ended up sealing those air leaks on their system. And applying for pre-approval on a custom rebate for their injection molding machine. This new machine creates product more effectively and avoids product waste, which is actually incorporated into Xcel Energy's custom rebate evaluation for, kind of being a steward of the environment. Ultimately, they installed a new injection molder, an associated process chiller. They completed the compressed air study, installed 2 new 15-ton rooftop units with added economizers to optimize efficiency, and then upgraded their facility lighting as well. So we have final cost savings on this project was almost $11,000 with avoided carbon emissions of 108 tons of CO2. It's a calculation provided by the EPA again. So here is a snapshot of Energy Smart as a program. In 2020, a tumultuous and anomaly of a year, we are still able to connect 184 site visits and assisted businesses to recuperate rebates on 141 efficiency upgrades. Businesses saved across these projects 2.7 million kilowatt hours and 5,100 decatherms natural gas, providing an estimated annual cost savings of nearly $250,000 to Minnesota businesses. So why work with Energy Smart? Essentially, we meet you where you're at. So whatever your goals may be, if you're just hoping to evaluate and learn about opportunities, if you have a specific project in mind, or you've already completed a scope of work and hope to recuperate rebates retroactively, we're here to provide assistance with whatever stage of the project you're in and help out that bottom line essentially. That is the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening. I have some sites and resources here that were provided throughout the presentation. Notably, some of these last resources, we have a YouTube page that reviews our grant program in more detail and our program services in some depth as well. And then a video about our grant program as well. Alternate languages are provided in Hmong, Somali, and Spanish if needed and applicable. But yeah, at this point, we'll open it up for some Q&A. I think Amy is going to step in and help me out from items that might be in the chat. And we'll be sticking around for some one-on-one time as well afterwards if you have specific questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin. Great information. And if you do have a question for Kevin, please enter that into the chat and I will read that and relay that over to Kevin. And I do have a couple here. One was, Kevin, will you be sharing the slides with this group?
Yeah, I can probably share those with you, Amy, and then get that slide deck out to everyone that is registered.
Wonderful.
Happy to do
Thank
that.
you, Kevin. And another question here. Our bills are high. How do I connect with a representative at my utility company?
It's a great question. So completing the customer energy use disclosure form, that's a file that we provide to you. Given that we are a third party to the utilities, we can complete that form and then get that submitted and then connect you with your account manager. Either completing the utility bill analysis is a great synopsis of, identifying what might be some of those seasonal trends, or looking in more depth of your baseline usage, figuring out if there's a power factor imbalance or a better rate structure you could be enrolled in. Otherwise, we can connect you directly with your account manager and get connected with a rate analysis. So that would be with their billing department, and just have kind of a conversation there. So we're happy to connect the dots on your behalf.
Great, thank you. Another question, how can I get connected with contractors?
Yeah, as mentioned, we're in a vendor neutral program, but we do have a short list of contractors that are members of the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce, so we can share that with you. Again, we recommend getting 2 to 3 estimates. We're certainly not endorsing their work, but that's a large hurdle that we sometimes come across with getting projects implemented. Otherwise, there are short lists that Xcel Energy has as trade partners. So those are folks that are trained up on the rebate programs, and are not necessarily endorsed, because Xcel is also vendor neutral, but those are partners that are aware of the program. It's just a really great short list. So making a few phone calls, having a couple folks out for an estimate is always a great next step. So we're happy to share those lists with you if you need to get the ball rolling on a project.
Great, thank you. Another question here. If I recently installed new equipment, can I still receive a rebate?
Yes, I might have kind of glossed over this earlier in my presentation, but Xcel Energy provides retroactive rebates up to 12 months from the invoice date. For technology like motors and drives, they can be retroactively rebated 24 months after the invoice date. And then for CenterPoint on the natural gas side, they provide rebates for work that is invoiced within the calendar year. So if you've done something in January, you have until the end of 2021 here to collect on that rebate. If you do a project in December, unfortunately, you only get 1 month to submit that rebate. But it is what it is, and we look to make sure that those specifications and deadlines are met when connecting with folks to make sure that opportunities aren't lost.
Thank you, Kevin. Looks like one more question here. So beyond the rebates, are there other incentives that are available?
Yeah, as touched on, we have our business energy efficiency grant that is funding that is internal to Energy Smart. So we don't wait on other like pre-approval or lag time from other institutions. It's a pretty quick turnaround time, generally a week or less when applying for that grant. It does require pre-approval. Again, it covers 20% of your rebated project cost up to $3,000 or $4,000 for Minnesota Chamber members. If you have a space in the city of Minneapolis or partners in Minneapolis, they have a very lucrative cost share program that is offered on a first come, first served basis. They will cover 20% of your total project cost up to $20,000. And then they have some different incentives for environmental justice and those that were impacted during the social uprising last summer, up to $40,000 on projects to try and increase equity and access for folks as they're getting back on their feet. So we directly administer a portion of those funds every year. And we're hoping that that funding will be back again next year. Otherwise, as far as like financing programs go, Center for Energy and Environment is a Minneapolis-based nonprofit, and they offer low interest loans for financing projects. Then there's the St. Paul Port Authority that also offers PACE funding. It's the property assessed clean energy financing, and they typically offer low interest loans up to 20 years. It's a loan kind of against the value of the property, and they look to match whatever your energy cost savings are from implementing a project to match the monthly payment on your loan. So once your project is implemented, you realize those cost savings, and then you're essentially paying that cost savings amount into your loan until the loan is paid off. So you don't necessarily notice an impact of making an additional payment in that financing because you're realizing it's through cost savings on your energy bills.
Well, thank you, Kevin. Looks like that was the final question here in chat. So, Les.
All right. Well, thanks, Kevin. I think I need to sign up for an audit. But just want to extend gratitude to Kevin coming today and explaining more about this, and hopefully everybody can start to save money and save some energy too. So on behalf of CMA, just want to thank everybody for being supportive of our operation and our group and what's been going on. What we will do as we get ready to leave is that the presenter and us will stay online for a while. If you have any other questions or like to visit with Kevin directly, why just don't leave the meeting right away. And the other big items to remember is the social coming up in August. Watch for the notices about that. And the golf outing that's coming up in June here. That's our big fundraiser for supporting all the programs we do. So I think without that, just to encourage everybody to look for some gratitude in your life and in the midst of some of this trying year that's gone by and the good news that's coming. So have a great rest of your week. And we'll see everybody in August at the social.
Thanks, everyone.